Thanks for watching this portion of Garage Logic today on our YouTube channel, and hit the subscribe button if you wouldn't mind. And also thanks to our friends at Everest Men's Health for sponsoring this. Go to everestmenshealth.com today to see if they can help you with better energy and better health. And catch the Garage Logic podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Justice and the Soucheray.
Well, directly from the green room, we have Hennepin County Sheriff candidate Jai Hanson. And Jai, you apparently have people because you're accompanied by the Reverend Tim. And all I can say right off the start, Jai, if you're good enough for the Reverend, we don't have much to talk about.
Wait. We need to establish something. Minnesota Vikings or Green Bay Packers?
Oh, he's wearing all his Green Bay stuff.
Now, Rev is, I'm a Viking guy. So that's one thing we don't agree on.
Okay, good.
But I'll tell you this. I heard you say to Kendall that the candidates that you have championed for don't have the best winning track record. Right. So I almost walked out of the green.
I was wondering if you heard that and we're going to get up and get out of here.
We wouldn't blame you.
Let's change that for 2022.
Yes.
Nice. Jai, you were born in India.
I was born. That's where I got the name Jai, J-A-I. Mm-hmm. And when I was 2 years old, I was adopted by a family in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. And that's where I got the good Norwegian last name of Hanson.
Right. And you are a police officer.
I am. I've been a police officer for 15 years. And
in Lakeville and Bloomington?
Yep. Lakeville and Bloomington. Got my master's in public safety administration from the University of St. Thomas. Mm-hmm. And I never wanted to run for office. This isn't something that was on my radar. But, you know, after what happened in 2020 with George Floyd,
right,
I just knew the bar was set so low in you know, on both sides of you know, community and public safety.
In what sense do you mean that?
Well, I'm a huge advocate that we can acknowledge the past and the history of the judicial system, mm-hmm. right, or in the public safety and not being fair to certain people. However, we need to hold people accountable,
right, and
we're not doing that right now.
We're letting too many people right back out on the street.
And you know, they had a story today, the guy that drove through one of the fire stations in Minneapolis.
Right, we covered that yesterday.
Yeah. So it was one of those that out no bail. And for the first time, they're highlighting judges, mm-hmm. and I'm so happy to see that.
Yeah, that judge is Regina Chu, and she's a threat to public safety, in my estimation.
Her and many others. Yeah. And we need to have a local leader. That's why I'm running for sheriff. Mm-hmm. I think the sheriff that we have now is absent for a number of reasons, right. But I think after what happened to George Floyd, you don't let a community burn.
Right.
Look at what happened to Chicago. I went to college in Chicago, mm-hmm. and I saw firsthand that community and what happened there and the crime rate. And that's where I switched to, I wanted to be a police officer, mm-hmm. to be involved with that, to be a part of the solution. And you don't just let a community burn. It's going to continue,
right,
to have, you know, effects.
Yeah, once the precedent's been set, exactly.
You know, once the third precinct, once that burned in Minneapolis, we haven't had that before in the history of our country. And then after it happened here, it happened in Portland, it happened in Seattle. Mm-hmm. And one thing I'm frustrated with, why is that building still standing? Mm-hmm. We have, you know, barbed wire, we have barricades around it. It's a trophy right now for the people that did it. When you have AutoZone that's rebuilt, you have Target that's rebuilt, and you have people that live in that community that have to drive by that, walk by that every single day and see that boarded up, mm-hmm. that building needs to be taken down.
Oh boy, what a great point. I never thought of that.
When you think about the trauma of these people. This is why I'm running. I had a guy reach out to me, and I'm an independent, and I'm adamant about being independent. I have Republicans and Democrats on my team, and I'm very proud of that.
Good.
So when I have both sides, I had a guy reach out to me, and he sat down with me, and he said, he's a 60-year-old guy. He goes, I just want to let you know I'm a Democrat. And I go, okay, good. Yeah. And then he's talking, and I go, why did you reach out to me? Why do you want to help me? And he goes, when I was 8 years old, my family had a store on the north side, and somebody came in there and shot my dad and killed my dad when I was 8. You want to talk about the trauma? Mm-hmm. 53 years later, he still has the trauma. This mm-hmm. is why I'm running. The trauma that we're having right mm-hmm. now in our communities mm-hmm. will have lasting effects.
Do you have a family?
I do have a family. I'm the youngest of 6,
Right.
But I don't have any kids, and I have a girlfriend that's very supportive, and if it wasn't for her saying yes to this, I wouldn't be running. She holds the keys to all this.
She's the boss.
Yeah.
So you were. Tell us about your You were adopted and became. Were all the kids in your family adopted?
No. So I'm the youngest of 6. I have one brother that's 1 year older than I am. He was adopted. He's African American. I'm from East Indian, and he works with the FBI right now, and he's assigned in Dallas.
Oh, cool.
And your dad was on the Supreme Court, right?
He was, yeah. He was on the Supreme Court for
Minnesota Supreme Court.
Supreme Court for about 10 years, I believe. Yeah,
And he's still with us.
he is. He still lives in the cities here and still active. Retired as an attorney, but doing some other stuff.
How did you hook up with Reverend Tim Christopher?
Well, before I ran, I think I talked to Reverend probably a year ago.
Yeah,
and we're talking, and just I wanted to know his vision for the community and what he was about. And when I started seeing that he was holding people on both sides accountable, I really like that. We need to. This is a nonpartisan office, and the only way we're going to fix this is to be nonpartisan. And I'm not going to get marching orders from either party.
Jai, we actually say things on this show that Christopher disagrees with.
It's hard to believe.
And then we hear about it.
I shared this with both of you guys as I walked you down here from the front door, but one of the things that I truly love about both of you, you not only talk the talk, you walk the walk, and that's evident with both of your Twitter accounts that I follow both of you guys, but I loved it, Jai, that you were out in North Minneapolis on a Saturday night / Sunday morning saying, this can't happen. I mean, that's the kind of thing I love, because you're not just going to hide behind an ideology. You're actually going to be out there doing something about it.
Yeah, and we were just talking about it earlier today, me and the Rev, about this is something normal for me. I worked overnights. I was a patrol officer for a long time, and that's normal to be out at night where things are going on. And I told him, the frustrating part about running for office now is I don't get credit for that unless I have a camera with me.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
But so people are like, I'm happy you're doing that. Well, yeah, I've been doing that.
Well, I like he doesn't have a camera with him, because therefore that way you're doing it from the bottom of your heart, not because like Walls, when he comes down to the black community, he makes sure a camera is with him so he can act like he's doing something.
Right.
So that's what I like about Jai. When I started reading up on him and talking to him, and we had did another thing together for someone is another reason why how we met, and we just started talking, And even though I do get on the police sometime and I talk about police reform and things like that, people think that I'm against the police. No. I'm one of them people who says point blank, no ifs, ands, or buts. No, we're not defunding the police.
Right.
We're not getting rid of the police. We need the police. What we need to do is get the police and the community back together again, and that's something that we're going to be working on. And I'm hoping this one right here is going to be in office so we can get this done, because I just can't see it being done with anybody else. I've reached out to law enforcement and asked them, what can we do to get the community involved in everything that's going on here, and we can make a difference? I don't hear anything back.
I smile when the Reverend talks about that, he wants reform and kind of bashing police or whatever, because I like what he has to say. We need reform. I'm all for reform. Nobody likes a bad cop more than a good cop, and that is true. And
I'm glad you said that, because my father is retired LEO Rice County, and that's the one thing I said basically from the onset of what happened with George Floyd is no one hates bad cops more than good cops.
Right.
No one.
Right.
Absolutely
Believe
no
that.
one.
And we
Believe
need
that.
reform.
Yeah.
I just don't want knee-jerk reform. I want reform
Right.
that we can actually get done that will help people.
Are we in agreement that public safety is threatened by the bail reform movement, by judges turning people back out onto the street, and many of these criminals and carjackers are repeat offenders? Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
That
I
is,
think.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what?
Now, see, I agree with you, Joe.
I know you did. And I marked that
Right?
down. I marked that down.
I want to make
Date
sure
and time.
you mark that down. But
In
it's a
reality,
sheriff, what can you do?
Yeah, exactly. In reality, say you win the race and you become Hennepin County Sheriff, how much impact can you actually have on that problem?
Well, this is where we're going to need a vocal leader, right? So when we have public safety, when we have law enforcement getting attacked and saying they're not doing their jobs, or we're short, or whatever thing they're pushing at that time, that's where a vocal sheriff. If I'm elected, and I'm having a press conference, and the judiciary is not holding people accountable, bail reform, things of this. We're gonna be doing press conference and saying, hey, you're angry about this. You're sick of people, the revolving door of the system. Here's the emails and the contact information of the county commissioners, the judges, whoever we need to address that.
Good.
And also the vocal leader at the Capitol, right? We need to have somebody there that will be champion for the police and public safety.
I think his name is Kendall Qualls.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like Kendall, but I think we had a public safety hearing a couple months ago, and we had two sheriffs there, Ramsey County and Chisago County, talking about the crime in Hennepin County, and the Hennepin County sheriff is not there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an issue with that.
What are your thoughts on Dave Hutchinson?
I'm not running because I have anything personal against him. I'm running because I've seen my community that I grew up in struggling. And before I announced, I called him and I said, "Look, this isn't a personal thing. This is something that we just have a different philosophy. When you are tied with a political party in a nonpartisan office, there's concerns there. And I know I'm leaving money on the table by not going with an endorsement or seeking an endorsement. But at the end of the day, our team needs to be able to look in the mirror and be proud of the campaign we ran.
Are you on the ballot this November, this November? All right.
But let's also be real when you talk about Hutchinson. All of this stuff that's going on right now was under his watch. Under his watch. And we can't sit here and say there was nothing he could do. It's the same thing, just like I talk about the Republicans when I sit there and say, now they come out. Now they're saying something. They should have been saying something a long time ago. Well, Hutchinson should have been saying something a long time ago. And this is the point that I keep trying to make. When you have someone, and that's why I'm glad he's independent. But, now the DFL is going to bring somebody in who's unqualified, and they got to march to their beat of their drum, just like what Hutchinson did. Hutchinson was lockstep with the DFL, and look at where we're at right now. I mean,
we're in a bad place.
We're in a bad place. I'm not going to beat around the bush about that, right? We're in a bad place. So at the end of the day, whomever is sitting in that seat has to start answering to the public. He did not answer to the public. Even when he got in the accident, he still didn't answer to the public.
Well, it was somebody else was driving.
You got a point.
But you're right, Reverend. And him talking to the public ended the day after he was elected.
That's right.
He was just fine before the election and made a lot of promises. Some of them he didn't keep. And then after the election, the dialogue stopped. It just stopped.
He had to do what the DFL told him to do.
Well,
let's be real about that.
I sense two things, Jai. I sense your independency would be fairly novel in that position, and that you would have a chance to, it sounds to me like you would almost reinvent the position.
Yeah, Joe, I think we need to we're at ground zero right now, and I think we can, and this isn't a stretch, I really mean this, we can show the country how to do this. We had the George Floyd horrible incident here, and we can also show how we're going to rise and we can change this. And it's not going to be attached to a political party, I'll tell you that.
What do you think of the example being made of Kim Potter, who was not allowed to go home for Christmas by Regina Chu, but Regina Chu has since then, she let one criminal out to attend a funeral. He has yet to return. And then she let this fellow out who chased a woman right into a fire station in Minneapolis. She's let him out. What do you think of the example that's attempted to be made of Kim Potter?
The scary thing for police officers is the direction this is going, where juries aren't looking at all the facts. Here's my concern. When you have a special witness on the stand that the state puts on who says the officer should have let Dante Wright leave, there's a court order saying that you need to you need to arrest him. So the state is saying, they have a witness on the stand saying, nope, you knew who he was, you could have let him go. Well, then you're in violation of what the judge is saying. So I want clarification, and I think many cops in the state want clarification from Keith Ellison and the Minnesota Supreme Court. What would you like us to do in that situation? Do you want us to follow the law, or do you want us to let people go? And I truly want clarification from the Attorney General and the Supreme Court on how officers should handle that from here on out.
I think it's just criminal the way she's being treated. She obviously needs to have consequences. But good Lord, they're trying to throw the book at her and get the longest sentence possible. She's never had a complaint in 26 years. She made a horrible mistake.
True.
We're all in agreement with that.
True.
But good Lord, she's being treated like she's a threat to the public.
Well, we've seen
she's not a threat to the public.
No, we've seen officers leave, and now it's going to even get worse.
Absolutely.
And for the first time in my career, what I'm seeing, these are family decisions. These are spouses saying, I don't want you going to work anymore. This isn't, there's officers that have 5 and 7 years on that should be the prime of your career, where they're saying, I'm out.
I don't need to put my family through this.
Right.
Yeah.
Jai, the one thing I really like about you, and we brought it up briefly earlier, is that you're out there in the middle of the night and you're using your social media accounts to call attention to what's going on. And that's kind of the same reason, at least for me anyway, that I love Sheriff Fletcher.
Yeah, Bob's doing the same thing.
Fletch gets accused of never seeing a camera he doesn't love, or loving the spotlight, and blah, 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 blah. And these are all criticisms. But what Fletch does, in my mind, is he's calling attention to what's really going on the streets. He's letting the public know, here's what it's like. And that's what I like about you up to this point. And I would hope, if you're elected, that you would keep doing that. Now, you don't have to get your own show. You don't have to be anything like Fletcher, but I would love to see you to continue to use the social media platform to highlight what's really going on.
We need to do that, and I'm happy that he does something like that as far as transparency. We're at a point where we either can fight back, or we can just let people say whatever they want to say and push whatever narrative they want to push. And for law enforcement, let's be out there. Let's show what we're actually coming to at 1 o'clock in the morning and what we're seeing. If I'm elected, that transparency will continue. The fact that we will be places. And I just want to say this, I focus on Minneapolis a lot, but if I don't focus on Minneapolis, it will continue to go out to the suburbs.
I was just going to say the same thing.
People will hammer me on Twitter and say, well, Hennepin County is bigger than just Minneapolis. Well, yeah, I get that. Right. But now look at what's going on. And the fact is North Minneapolis has been abandoned by our politicians. And when you have a 16-minute response time at the best for a violent crime or something serious, your government has let you down. So day one, I'm going to be focused on moving my office to the north side. And that's something that we need to have a presence there, and we need to build. And I'm going to champion things for like Second Amendment. Let's make it easy for people to legally buy guns. And protect themselves.
Oh, I had a question, but I'd rather segue into that. And the Reverend has been preaching this for quite a while, and we ended up in a discussion the other day about gun purchases in the black community in L.A. Reverend, can you just highlight what you've been saying for the past couple years with responsible, law-abiding black citizens and gun ownership?
Yeah, just to point that, well, one of the things, like I said, what we're working on right now is to teach these young black women what a straw purchase is. When their boyfriend get out of prison and he wants to seek revenge and he gets her to go out and I talked to you about this, Jai.
Yeah, I'm happy you did, yeah.
Right, and he wants to seek revenge and he gets her to go and buy a firearm for him. Well, he goes out and he commits a murder. There's a body on that gun. And then she gets the case for that. She ends up in jail. She's got 2 or 3 kids. Now, grandmother got to raise those kids, right? Mm-hmm. And grandma can't raise 3 kids. We know that. So out of those 3 kids, 2 of them are gonna go bad.
Right? I mean what Chris Rock said. If the kid calls grandma mom and mom Pam, he's going to jail.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to, number one, I'm trying to get some of these here women to understand that you cannot buy a gun for your thug boyfriend.
No.
Let's call it what it is.
What
Like
kind
I
of
said,
purchase did you call it, Rev? What kind of purchase is it?
Straw purchase. Okay. So a straw purchase. You know what I mean? You just can't go out and they go and tell, can you buy this gun for me and all this here? Or she goes out and buys it for him because it's his birthday or whatever, that type of thing. No, we can't have that. Number one. Number two. And I'm also trying to get these so-called people who are walking around in these here protests because they got a gun. That's the newest thing. You know, everybody want to walk around there with their gun, with the AR-15 across their chest.
Yeah.
And they don't have no license. They don't have insurance. They don't even know how to carry it. They don't know the law in carrying it. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to introduce the true 2A rights in the black community so we can start understanding their gun violence. Basically is what we're trying to do. I want to teach, what I really want to do, I want to have a skeet and shoot team at the high school. Mm-hmm. I think that would help a lot.
Well, you're pretty close to the country's tallest buildings. Yeah. You could get away with that maybe up where Kenny is, but you'd have a hell of a time getting it here, I think. Let me read you an email. It's germane to this topic, because yesterday we did talk about the story out of Los Angeles. Where wealthy people in Beverly Hills are buying up all the guns, and the contention was made that this is somehow disadvantages the black community. And I got a note from
I can get a gun in the alley, so I ain't worried about it.
Right.
But anyway,
well, Josh writes. Josh writes, just a quick comment on yesterday's discussion on the difficulty for minorities to acquire a permit to carry in California. Newsflash: it's difficult for anyone to acquire a permit to carry in California, regardless of race. Between purchasing the firearm, paying for training, range time and ammo, and ponying up an application fee, you can drop $5,000 pretty quickly. Not to mention that as a may issue state, it's up to local law enforcement to decide whether you actually need to carry a firearm for self-protection. So you can go through the entire process, which generally takes about a year, and still get denied by local law enforcement regardless of race. White guys get denied too. I spent 5 years in California and was very happy to get out of there and back to the confines of Gumption County. Keep up the good work, and thanks for the daily dose of common sense, Josh. So I think he has a great point. It's tough for anyone in California to legally carry a gun. Yeah. Anyone.
No, I've got friends in California right now that sit there and say that, it's hard for me.
Well, I don't think it's a race issue, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm long over that.
I hope
you know
so.
what I mean?
I know
I'm
are.
long over sitting here saying, because I'm a black man, they do this here, they do this, and they do. Joe, I don't play.
I know
that.
you don't.
You're right.
Rev, I have a question for you, and I honestly don't know the answer. Where are the thugs and the bad guys getting all the ammo? And I know they're using range ammo, but and I'm one of these dum-dums that I've been stockpiling too, and it's all range ammo, but I'm shooting it out the back door of my shop out in the middle of nowhere at cardboard boxes. Where are these guys getting all the ammo?
I want Jai's answer on that.
Yeah, because I don't get it. I've been asking. This is a needle in a haystack. No one's talking. They don't even tell me.
Jai, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's one of those where we have to do some more investigation with how they're getting this ammo and doing it and how they're manipulating these guns.
Yeah, because it's hard to get.
All these people that have these, Ring doorbells now. I mean, you can listen to what's going on in these communities, and it's pretty astonishing what's happening.
Yeah,
and now it's being documented. And people are actually realizing it.
No, he's right. You can't even go to a gun store.
I go down to the hardware store, and they've got 8 boxes on the shelf, and he says you can buy one. And it's like, okay, all right, I buy one and I put it on the shelf at home.
I want your opinion, both of you guys, on this one, because this is something that surfaced in my timeline on social media, and I know Joe loves it when I bring up stuff from social media. But I'm wondering what the validity is to it, and we have the perfect people here to help explain this, Joe. Hennepin County Jail is now refusing to book and hold suspects that only have warrants outside of Hennepin County. Normally, suspects would be booked and held for transport to the county where they warrant exists. Now, unless another jail will take them, they will be freed. Is there any truth to that rumor?
There is truth, and how is that making it safer, right? Or,
Honest to God.
We had our current sheriff has said another thing. He's not going to work with ICE and he removed the ICE office from the jail. There was never an ICE office in the jail. Mm-hmm. You need to work with our federal partners to get things done. Mm-hmm. And I think the most humane way of doing that is working with them to get the violent criminals accounted for
off the street.
And we're not talking about ignoring them so then they go into the community and do raids or wait outside courtrooms to arrest people. That is not the humane way of handling this. And you can't just ignore agency like that.
Yeah, the sheriff removing ICE was purely politically motivated. It's as ridiculous as the Minneapolis Park Police not wanting to work with Minneapolis police. It's like,
correct.
Stop it. Work together.
Well, based on what Tim said 10 minutes ago, I had no idea that Hutchinson was that stridently obedient to the DFL party.
Yeah.
He's endorsed by Omar. He's endorsed by Jeremiah Ellison. Yeah. He's endorsed by.
I take it you're not going to get
Tim
Omar's
Walz.
endorsement.
Omar, no, I will not be seeking that one.
Well, Joe, you're making the mistake that she would actually pay attention to something going on here in the Twin Cities.
I like that. Yeah. I like exactly what he just said.
Yeah. Okay. Don't compliment.
Don't compliment. Okay.
Never compliment Chris. Jai, we talked a bit about Minneapolis. Do you have any idea what should we do about the 38th in Chicago George Floyd Square deal where it seems like a refuge for the bad guys and the Minneapolis police don't go in there? Do you have any passing thoughts on that situation?
Well, I can say right now, we're going to open it up, which I think we need to open it up. But here's why. I'm not saying that as we're just going to bully our way through there. This is why I say this. I talked to somebody not too long ago who lives by 38th in Chicago, and you can hear in his voice shaking as he talks about who's going to protect him, his family, his house, he's left alone there. I mean, he sees these crimes, these drug dealers, the gang members, and he's asking me, please have somebody help us. I own a house here. I have a 10-year-old daughter. What do I need to do? I shouldn't be staying up at night making sure my family is safe. Mm-hmm. And this is why we need to do it. I'm not talking about being a bully, but I'm saying the trauma that we have continuously gone through needs to end.
Here. We couldn't agree with you more.
I'm glad you mentioned this part earlier, too, because, people might look at it's just Minneapolis or it's just Hennepin County, but you're already seeing this play out in that first ring of suburbs. We had the carjacking in Edina with the woman, and Reverend called it. He said, people aren't going to wake up until it happens to a white woman in the suburbs. And he was 100% right. But once you see this light rail open up to Eden Prairie, good luck to you, because that's the next stop then.
Not if you have a change in leadership with the likes of Jai.
I agree, but what I'm saying, Joe, is this is just going to keep flooding outward before it gets resolved.
Yeah, and I'm so sick of hearing this is a national trend. I understand it's a national trend, but this is what's happening in our community, and this is how we need to fix it. It doesn't make it okay because it's a national trend.
Good point.
That's right. And then you look at everything that's going on, and the only thing that the mayor can do is put together a task force of people who, I don't understand how you're going to put together a task force of people who literally want the police department dismantled.
Right.
I've been through. I remember the first task force I ever heard about was Mary Sales Belton. She put together a task force, and there's been task forces year after year after year after year. Task force doesn't work. What works is you get 4 or 5 people in a room. Those people are on the same accord, and then you start making things happen. I've been so busy trying to get COVID tests over in North Minneapolis for some of the elderly people who can't go. That's what I've been doing. I didn't wait for the governor to put together a task force to see if they can get COVID tests over in North Minneapolis. I went out and got it. So Thursday, Friday of next week, we will be doing COVID tests in my church for the elderly people over there. That's what I'm talking about. See, we sit around and we wait for them to make things happen. And then they got to put together a task force, and then they got to do a study instead of just going and doing it and getting it done. I'm tired of waiting for these people to do this stuff. And so with that George Floyd Square area over there, no, I would have never paid terrorists to keep it safe. I would have the guards would have came in and they would have tore that down. And I would have left my guards over there to secure that area for those people. Those people over there are law-abiding citizens that are letting a group terrorize their area, and then the mayor does nothing about it. So, no, that area would have been cleaned up. I'd clean it up.
Do you think, though, now that the city council has new leadership, that'll happen, Rev?
Well, you know, let's look at it this way. We've got one that snuck in. Yeah. Who decides to sit here and say that if you're an immigrant, you don't have to be a resident and you get to vote. That's what we're dealing with. So he has to go. I'm glad he showed his face early. So there's two other ones that's got to go before that city council starts really making a difference. I don't care what Fry say. Fry can't make no difference. That city council is what does it. He walks at the beat of that city council. And as long as we got radicals on that city council, it's not going to get done right now. We still got a couple. My main goal was to get Philippe Cunningham off of there. That's what happened. Mm-hmm. That was my main goal. I don't care what else happened on that city council. I almost got Ellison gone, but Ellison played a trick on me. And anyway, Philippe Cunningham is gone. So there's a couple
replaced
more.
by Vita.
Yep. I told you. Did I tell you she was good, right?
She's really great.
I just want to hold on now. Hold on now. So I'm not gonna work and deal with people who are not about making a difference and making things happen, making things right. Jai is that guy. So I'm not gonna run with certain people. But
let me read you both a letter that plays into just what you just said. It's in today's Star Tribune. Regarding the recent crime surge, Ramsey County Attorney John Choi had this to say. What we really need to start doing is working together to understand the complexity of the problem. I have a question for you, Choi. When you stand at the edge of your driveway after a snowfall and you're holding a shovel, do you work to understand the complexity of the problem, or do you start digging? Resolving this crime surge is not complex. Bad people do bad things. Police arrest them. You prosecute them to the full extent of the law so that judges can put them in jail where they, and this is the most important part, can't commit more crimes. Do your job, Mr. Choi. Ryan Sheehan in Roseville. But it was like you saying, you don't need another task force.
No.
You stand there at the end of your driveway with a foot of snow, you're going to start shoveling.
That's right. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's that simple. We're at a point that we all see what happened. I mean, the Democrats, Fry, Walls, let this city burn. Then they let the terrorists come in and do what they're doing now. Then they let the criminal just run muck, run wild. And then, because like I said before, if you understand the streets, this is what you knew about the streets. You didn't touch certain parts of the area. You didn't touch Theodore Worth, and you didn't touch Kenwood. That was that's the law of the streets, mm-hmm. because there are white people there, mm-hmm. and you don't make the white people mad, or the cops will come after you. The problem is now these young boys, mm-hmm. they don't care. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what people don't understand. They don't care. No. They'll go out in Edina, or the Richie part of Edina,
at a lunch in Byerly's,
right? Hill in St. Paul.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And smack somebody up on side the head, and not even care if they get caught. They had a 13-year-old boy running down the street the other day after they stole somebody's car. Until you know the so-called suburb mayors understand this, you're not going to solve this. You have to understand who you're dealing with. They've never seen nothing like this. Mm-hmm. So I don't care how many letters they put out. They can put as many letters as they want until they go over there and get Mr. Mayor in Minneapolis and sit him down, and they all of them stand at a table and point their finger at him and say, you need to get yourself in action. Nothing's going to, as long as he's sitting on the sidelines, nothing's going to happen. And NASCAR Kelly said hi. Just
But Reverend, I just want to weigh in. I think what happens on, I don't know, pick a corner, Broadway and Lyndale, is just as important as what happens on Kenwood Parkway.
Yes, sir.
And I want to see the crime stop everywhere, starting with the north side.
As long as the crime
makes
stays
too
in
much
one
sense.
area. Thank you much. As long as the crime stays in one area. Because they know where the drug dealers are. They
But
know where the drugs are.
that's not good enough for me. I don't want crime on the north side.
I know, but it's been this way. I got here in 1990, and it's been this way for that long. And no
Who's
matter
running for sheriff here, you or Jai?
We got to get him to run for something.
I want to go back to something you said earlier, Jai. I've never heard it referred to that way. You described the 3rd Precinct as a trophy.
Yeah,
And you have to remember what Fry said about that when it burned.
brick and mortar.
Just brick and mortar. So why isn't it gone? You raise a great point. Why is that standing?
Why the people that live over there that drive past that? First of all, when that precinct was built, it was really nice,
Right.
and I think that
I'm very
community was
familiar with it.
very happy with it, and it was something that was easily accessible to the citizens. And now looking at it, driving past, again, you have businesses that have rebuilt already. Why is that still standing?
It's a great question.
With barbed wire, barricades, boarded up windows. Why? You want to talk about trauma?
Right.
Think about that.
Right.
That needs to be taken
I
down.
agree.
And whether if it's just an empty lot or you want to put flowers there or whatever, but it needs to be taken down. You think that would pass on Summit Avenue in St. Paul?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So it's one of those that to me frustrates me that that's still standing.
I agree.
You know, we had a story the other day that we brought up on the show, Rev, because you just reminded me of it. The carjacking with the kid inside, and I had made the reference point that didn't there used to be a code? You know, if a young kid broke into a car to steal it, but saw a kid, he probably thought, I better go on to the next one. Did that used to exist?
Yeah. There was that street code. Street code says don't cause attention. Go ahead and rob and steal, but just don't cause certain attention that's going to get the police upset.
Then what happened? What happened, Jai? What happened? These kids now, they don't care if there's a baby in the car.
Nobody is being
right.
held accountable.
There you are.
You know, when I was going to college in Chicago, our campus was about a mile away from their light rail system, the L, and it was street code. You don't mess with college students. You just don't do it, and the cops leave you alone. Well, now you're seeing here, there's no ramification for it. No, there's nothing. And you know what? I don't think to the victims that are unloading their groceries into their house and they get a gun put in their face. I don't think they sit back and go, man, I wonder why that person did it. I think they feel like, no, that person needs to go to jail.
Right.
An 85-year-old grandmother leaving Aldi. You know, the other day we saw that. It was, 3 kids that beat her up?
Yeah, but then when we highlight it, then I'm accused of fear-mongering. This is actually going on.
Oh, my God.
And this is why I'm running. You know, the trauma of this all, that we can't just keep on hiding and say, no, this isn't happening. It's happening.
It's getting worse.
It's getting worse.
Well, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you
and
for having
hope we
me
can
on.
talk. Hope we can talk frequently.
Absolutely.
But we have to overcome the terrible Garage Logic jinx of.
We're going to do better in 2022.
We're going to survive.
That's right.
this.
I hope I can help with that.
Thank you both.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you both for coming in, and best of luck to Jai Hanson. What's the website?
Yeah, so you can follow me on social media. It's Jai for Sheriff, so JAI, the number 4, Sheriff, on social media, and that's also my website, jaiforsheriff.com.
And I'll tag all of those accounts on the GL post
Yeah,
for
thank you.
today's show.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.